Hey guys, it's Dave. Welcome back to Dave's Dimension. Welcome back again for another video, guys. So we're doing things a little differently. We're not unboxing today. We're going to show you, this is kind of a beginner's, well, I shouldn't say beginners, but this is a little preview video. So you guys can see what our big major project is going to be moving on in the future. We're still going to be doing unboxings, but I'm going to be doing a series of videos showing you guys how to do some basic mods, some modifications, okay? Now, I'm a part of the Ghostbuster community. I am a Ghostbuster in Buffalo, New York area. We do cosplay, we dress up as Ghostbusters, and we help fundraise. We raise money year round for Toys for Tots. At least that's the main charity for the group that I'm a part of, okay? As obviously you guys have seen my packs in past videos. Those packs did not come off the assembly line looking like that. I repainted everything. I did heavy modifications on many of these. And those same type of modifications we're going to make to the Walmart Imagine brand Ghostbusters strap. Okay? This, you can call it Ghost Trap Mark II, I guess you could say. Because there is a Spirit version, and I'm going to show you a modified Spirit trap that I've done, and also a modified Walmart Imagine brand Ghost Trap. Now, obviously, you can see everything's very plastic looking. This definitely looks like a kid's toy. Got a little thin wire coming out the side here and stuff coming out the back, like it looks like in the movie. We have this little, looks like the kind of pedal you might hit at a Spirit store or a little Halloween store, so you can trigger the effects. That's pretty much what this is. Very simple, right? So as you can see, you got big clunky wheels right here. There's no button here. You have to trigger it with the pedal, okay? See how this looks? Okay? There might be a test on this later, guys. Okay? See how nice and orangey that looks? Okay, so here we go. We're going to set that down, guys. Here we are. This is a Spirit trap. Now, this is the first version of traps that came out. There is a button here which will open up the doors. Okay? Now, don't mind that. That's just from Halloween. I had this sitting on my patio with another prop doing a little ghost, an impromptu ghost trapping scene that I created for my patio. Now, this is one of my first traps that I ever modded. Some of these pieces are aftermarket, and I'll go over that in a few seconds here. Now, this whole thing is painted. You see how kind of, this doesn't look shiny at all. It looks beat up, looks weathered, looks like it's been through its paces, guys. That was the look I was going for. Now, I think this trap, when we do the painting, we're going to do a gloss or semi-gloss on it to give it a bit more of a sheen so it doesn't look as tattered, as beat up as this one does. Now, I'm going to show you the other trap in just a second. Okay? So what this is, anytime I paint, I'll do primer over it. Well, first we sand it down because it has the copyright logo and everything here. So this is, you might notice it looks a little bit more worn down here. That's because I just took some paper, some sandpaper, sanded it down until that was no longer there. Okay. Now also, if you notice, this looks red opposed to this one looking white. You know what this is? Red Sharpie. That's right, guys. Red Sharpie. That's all you need to do on there is a little bit of red Sharpie, and there you go. It looks like a red light. Now, a lot of people will swap this out for aftermarket for a different light. That is the thing you guys can do. But if you're on a budget, or maybe you don't have that much experience, you can actually take a red Sharpie and go over it, and you really can't tell the difference. And there we go. It still goes right through, but if you notice from a distance, that looks like a red light, doesn't it? Also, if you notice on here, I have some little cap head screws right here. Now, these were not initially rusty like this, okay? There was some rain. I left this out in the rain a little bit. I didn't mean to, but it's a happy accident. Now, what you can do is get these. Hex Cap Screw Assortment. Get these really cheap at Harbor Freight. you guys can see we have a whole slew, nice assortment here. We're going to be using that on the trap, okay? Now what you can do, if you want this rusted look beforehand, put them in maybe a bowl or maybe an open cup or old jar, maybe even a bucket, put some water in, let it sit over maybe a couple days, maybe even a week, depending on how rusted you want it to have a look on here. Now of course I pre-drilled holes here so that I can just kind of use an Allen wrench, an Allen key, and screw these right on in. Now yes, the trap does have some screws. Well, these are not real screws, these are fake molded screws on here. You can see that right there, guys. So what I did was, nice little cutting tool right here. I use this, and I'm going to leave a link for this tool. I found this on Amazon, but you can find it at any other place. I use these to basically just kind of, whoop, not do that. I basically used it to kind of snip the fake molded plastic off, and then I used a Dremel. You can use a Dremel or even sandpaper to smooth it out. Now I do recommend a rotary tool, a Dremel tool of some kind for this for modifying the trap. It helps out tremendously. Okay. Now if you notice, there was also a belt clip on here. Now you can see some of the remnants of that on there a little bit. But how many times do you really look underneath the trap? I basically kind of cut it a little bit with the cutting disc, sanded it down as best as I could at the time. Now this is a Spirit trap. My other trap looks much more smoother and cleaner. This one you kind of see there's a little bit of an opening here. That's just how it wound up being because I was using an aftermarket kit. Now this does not connect into anything here. This is just for looks. Because the Ghostbusters traps rely on a hose that detaches onto it, so you can detach the hose, or when you put this in the containment unit, the cartridge comes out, the frame comes out, and there you go. Another thing is I got these aftermarket knobs because the actual trap has this round one. I wanted something more screen accurate. I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. Can't tell you how many thousands of times I've seen Ghostbusters 1 or Ghostbusters 2. So I actually got this. This actually comes as two pieces. And I glued them. Actually, I did some. This one I did epoxy, but what I did was I drilled a hole into here, right? And then again, I dremeled this knob, this black knob, off, guys. Made it flat so I could apply adhesive onto here. Now, first I used a little bit of hot glue on the inside to kind of hold it in place. So when to kind of seal up the inside, so I had a flat surface to apply the epoxy to when I epoxied this. And you really can't tell. This is one of my earlier ones, and you really can't tell that I did that. This will not move, not one bit. Now, on here, I did some hand painting here. It didn't turn out the greatest because I was still learning how to properly tape things off, so it looks a bit scuffed up. I'm actually considering taking some brown ember to give kind of a rusted look around here, kind of making this my afterlife trap. Now on here we have, this is just a static knob. This does not rotate, but this is the type of knob we would see on a Ghostbusters 2 trap. Okay. Also, this piece I got through let me see, is this, yes, this was a 3D printed piece that I got on eBay. There's a few people selling some aftermarket panels, because if you notice again on this, there is no panel. You just have a little plastic molded screw or cap. I cut that right off so I could get a screen accurate look here, guys. Again, there we go. Silver on this side. This lets you know it's a Ghostbusters 2 trap, because the traps in Ghostbusters 2 did not have color on these rods. In Ghostbusters 1, they were red, and I believe there's a scene in downstairs in the basement where the containment unit is. If you really look hard enough, I believe there's one or two traps that actually have yellow rods. Okay? And these are the ones, these are the rods that came with the trap. It's just, I primed it, and actually so a lot of times if you try, on the earlier versions, you can kind of pull them off the pegs, but it's very thin plastic and it can break off. So that's why this doesn't look properly centered lengthwise. But like I say, every mistake gives a little bit more realism to it. Now, yes, this side is rusted. This side was not exposed to the water, the elements. So I might actually take a little brown ember, do some dry brushing, and I'll go over dry brushing in another video. Now, the battery compartment. This is the original battery compartment, but what I did was, again, with the Dremel and the sanding, I sanded down that plate of the resistor, that little gold part in the center, and I actually got my hands on a real one, and I applied that right on here. Now, there are supposed to be screws on here, or on the transistor. What I did was a little bit of some glue, some two-part epoxy very quickly to make it on there permanent, and there we go. It gives you a more realistic view. Now, there are people who have 3D printing files for these parts. So you can always 3D print yours. You don't have to have this wire sticking out, but it just gives a little bit extra oomph to it. I just happened to get my hands on the real one, so I said, what the hell? Let's go for it. Okay? Now, if you notice, some of the decals on here look weathered. These decals are not made by me. I bought these myself. There's a really cool Etsy store. mobysigns.com. I'm going to have a link for them in the description below. I'm also going to have a link for these parts, the knobs that I got. There's a really great Etsy store as well. Another one called GBHQ Depot. They're really great for Ghostbuster parts for proton packs, ghost traps, a few other odds and ends. They have some amazing stuff. Now, let me show you some of the labels here. This looks like a worn, weathered label. I like the weathered look. I don't always go for brand new. I think we might actually do a brand new look for the Walmart trap that we're going to be modding slowly. But if you notice on here, oh, I had it upside down, guys. So if you notice right there, that also has a weathered look. And also the doors have a weathered look. I really like the weathered look myself. Now I'm going to turn this trap on. And you can see there's like little bars going across, giving a nice little reading look. Let's open this up. Okay. Now the light's still functional inside. Now big difference is, if you notice, there you go. We get the lights going across. So that gives a nice little look right there. Now, in the movie, let's see here. Yeah, you guys can see that right there. So it comes off a little bright. Now also, I'm sorry, I derailed my train of thought. These wheels, I got this through, there is a eBay store called spongefacemcgee. He makes a lot of aftermarket parts for the Spirit Scale, Ghost Trap, and Proton Packs. I highly recommend hitting his store. He also makes pretty much almost practically all the electronics on gbfans.com. He makes some amazing stuff. I bought this kit from him. I'm going to leave a link to his eBay store in the video description below. Now, what this allowed me to do was it allowed me to have screen accurate wheels. I'm always saying, you know, you don't have to get things 100% perfect, but I wanted that extra look because this looks so much better than the big clunky plastic wheels that come on here. Now, all these is bearings on a 3D printed axle with the screws and bolts that will connect right onto there, and then you drill 4 holes onto here so you could hex screw right into it, and there you go. You have your screen accurate wheels. And also I got a V-hook, also known as a Dixie Cup V-hook. You can get these on Etsy, you can get them on eBay, you can get them at your hardware store. This allows for this to actually go right on to your Proton Pack, which is how I wear it for my Spirit Pack. Or if you have the proper, there's also 3D printed or plastic belt clip that this will slide right onto to give you more of a movie accurate look. So those are just a few different things you can do. Again, I have more of the Moby signs. They sell these labels as a set, so you can get a whole set for your trap or a set for your pack. I also have some other ones on my pack, but this is just an example of the Spirit Pack now, or the Spirit Trap. I said. Now you guys notice this whole thing is black here, right? Well, in the movie it's silver here, and also these are black knobs with little silver tips at them. I just did a little bit of dry brushing. This was one of my earliest projects, but you can see it still holds up. Still gives a nice beat up look. Like I said, I might actually consider just calling this my my afterlife trap. The only thing I've never done is replace this toggle switch, because with the spare trap you have it on and off. With the Walmart you don't have that. You have you have test, you have off in the center, and then you have on. Now what that means is this: if you don't want your batteries to die on you, either you keep your switch in the center, or you got to take your batteries out when you're done using it. So let's move on to my main trap. Now this is a trap I used last Halloween, and what I did was I made a really long cord connected to a pedal, and I'll go into the pedal in a little bit, guys. Okay, now this is more of a cleaner look. If you notice, doesn't look as worn as the other trap. I did go with the worn labels again. Now SpongeFaceMcGee, he also makes a full scale, well I shouldn't say a full scale, but he makes a aftermarket kit for your trap. If you want to make your trap as screen accurate as possible. Now just like the Walmart trap there that I showed you guys before, there is no button here. Everything is triggered by the pedal. Now with his aftermarket, with his kit, you get a nice little like plexi acrylic lens that goes over the light. Okay, you got the screws in here, so I mean this makes it so screen accurate, it's not even funny. You do have a little bit of branding up here. This is Ghost Labs 42, which is his company, basically his operating license, I guess you could call it. Okay, so also on here he gives you little screws to place all over on the plate, so you don't have to use the hex screws. Depending on if he has any more of these kits in stock, I may get that kit so I can take you guys through it step by step. But again, I went with the Ghostbusters 2 look with the silver. I like the silver a lot. This knob again doesn't move. I did the same thing I did before. This is actually a little silver aluminum piece that he gives you, which already had the holes in there. So what I did was I just simply, this has a hole here, so fits over the existing knob. So if you don't want to do this extra step, you can use the existing knob. I'm not going to do that though. So again, I'm going to go with the same kind of knob here. I might try and see if there's any way I can get it to rotate instead of just keeping it as static. Now the other side, again, we have the transistor, which he included with screws to go perfectly on there. And he also gives you screws to put on the plate to replace the fake screws. So here's a nice little comparison. We have that right there, or that right there. This one looks much better. I really like that look. Okay, that's just me personally. Now he gives you this little 3D printed piece, and then again you put the screws here right through, and you have the screws here and at the bottom. But guess what, guys? We can rotate this now. What he gives you is what's known as a potentiometer. For those that don't know what a potentiometer is, it's what you use whenever you're turning the volume down or up on a stereo or radio. Anytime you turn a dimmer switch on for lights, you're rotating it. You're using a potentiometer. Basically, you are adjusting the potential or the strength of the signal. You're changing the volume, you're changing the signal coming through with the potential movement you're doing. So potentiometer, there we go. Now the potentiometer is not wired into anything, you're just using it to give you that rotation ability. Very cool. And on here he's got a little indentation that shows you, okay, which way you want to turn this. Although we never see the guys actually use this. It's just a thing. Now mine has taken a little bit of damage. This has been kicked around a lot. Okay, and one of the pieces broke off here. What he gives you is you're able to take the plastic molded section completely off. See that little rectangular piece? You get to take that completely out and you get to put this in. Now these will actually move. They're just a wooden dowel on the inside with this plastic piece that fits perfectly on there. So you can turn this. You can turn this one. and you can even rotate this one as well. And he gives you a little printed, so you don't have to worry about painting. You don't have to worry about applying decals here. Everything's just there perfectly. So this took some damage. I don't even know where this piece is. I have to go looking for it. But he gives you screws to hold that on, and this is the proper look. It's sticking out a little bit here. If I do try to repair this, I'm probably going to have to take maybe some adhesive to kind of get it under there. Maybe a little toothpick or two of some epoxy right underneath. Hold this down for a couple minutes. It'll be great. Now, as I said on here, he gives you the hex screws to put right on there. And let's give it a look here. Okay? Very nice look. Now you have to be careful, because when I was doing it, I was being a little heavy-handed, and some of it did crack a little bit up here, but you really can't notice unless you are like right up against it, guys. Again, I use the same labels I did before from Moby signs. You can see it right there, and right here. So there we go. Now, one of the big differences, you get some different sounds when you're triggering it. Now, on here, I did not do the red Sharpie on this one yet. And if you notice, this is nice and clean because I didn't paint this like the rest of it. I was going to do the toggle switch, which toggle switches are very cheap, and we're actually going to try it on this new one. Okay? If it doesn't work, we can go ahead and skip that, and we can go with the actual switch itself. So those are options. His kit actually comes with a cover for this whole section right here, and a different lens light. Now these lights actually wind up being a little bit brighter, so that's why I kept these on here. Could just be a bad batch. Now the wheel kit does not come with the trap itself. The wheel kit was separately, and I just wanted to splurge, so that's why I have the wheels here. If you notice, I have a heavier V-hook. This is not metal, this is plastic, because the plastic holster I have attached to my utility belt, this fits perfectly on. Okay? Now if you notice, there's a little brass piece right here, which comes with the trap, and then I have my rubber hose here. Now I have to apply a little bit of adhesive on here so I can hold this on properly. There is a different piece I have that I've been meaning to attach. Now what I did was I just got basic 20 gauge electrical wire, and I ran it through this split loom all the way through. What do I mean by all the way through? Let's keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And there we are. Now this, obviously, this is not this. This looks completely different. What I wanted was, last year I was preparing for some Comic-Cons, a lot of public events that I wanted to go to, and I figured, okay, that's a bit cheap and plastic. This is not screen accurate, but I wanted something heavy duty. Enter this. This is not how the pedal originally looks. This is basically a safety pedal that you would see in a workshop. Has your basic electrical wiring set up on the inside. There's no power needed for this. But just like with the switch, when it's triggered, it activates and cuts off. There's no electricity in here. You just attach a wire to the inside trap or inside a switch. And you can even see the existing wire diagram right there. And I'm going to have a link for this in the description below. Now this was actually gray with this kind of as an orange. You can kind of see some of the orange sticking out there. I could have clear coated this and kept this looking pristine, but I didn't want that. I wanted a weathered, worn look. Because let's face it, the Ghostbusters are running all over town. Their equipment is not going to look brand spanking new. It's going to take some beating. Okay? And that's what I wanted here. So what I actually did was I was able to remove the labels and then apply the labels back on. I lucked out there. And what I did was I did silver primer all over this. And this was orange, as you can see, coming through in a few spots here. Let me see if you guys can see, maybe the other side here. Yeah, you can see some of the orange right there. So what I did was I was able to carefully take all the labels off and apply them back on. This 1, 2, 3, 4 spring-loaded screws that come right out. Okay. there is a little rubber gasket that holds this on perfectly. I took a dollar store carabiner and a little wire coil I had and attached it right on there so I can hang this on my belt or on my pack at the lower part of the pack, because on there's an the metal harness that you put onto a proton pack is called an Alice frame, used by the military to allow for the proper distribution of weight to help carry heavy backpacks. So I applied this on here so I can put this, there's a round hole on the one side, so I can just connect this right onto there. Very nice and simple, and it helps the weight because this is actually pretty heavy. Reason why I wanted something heavy was all the cons and events we were going to be doing, but didn't have the chance thanks to the Rona. So, but I did get to use this a lot. There was a drive-in event we did, which we social distanced, and the great thing about the trap is this thing is so long, at least a good, I'd say 10, 12 feet away. So last summer there was a couple events at the Transit Drive-In in Lockport, New York, just outside of Buffalo, and they were showing Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. So while we were there, we were letting kids stomp the hell out of my trap here. Okay, they could stomp the crap out of this. Oh, well, what I actually did was they took a like a dull knife and just kind of scraped it to give it that worn look already, as you can see, and I spray painted it silver underneath, so all this wornness is on purpose, and it really gives it a nice aged look. And then we also use this for Halloween. We put candy in here, and we would hit the trap, and we had candy on the inside. So this worked out perfectly again. So I mean, kids could stomp the hell out of this, and it worked perfectly. So I really liked going with this. I mean, would I like a screen accurate version? Yes. I don't have the tools to cut one out and to, I mean, I have some parts, but I don't have the foot plates, and I don't have the mechanism so I can trigger it. So I mean, for right now, this is great. I can even take some of the faux pieces I have and augment it onto here, so this looks a little more screen accurate. But you got to figure, you know, 36 years later, the Ghostbusters are not going to be using the exact same equipment. They're going to have some upgraded modifications. So here's the trap in its powered up mode. Okay. Now, actually, this little part right here comes all as a black plastic, but what I did was I took the two pieces apart, sprayed one silver, sprayed one gold to give it kind of a brass look, and there we go. This is just a basic split loom going all the way here, and if you notice on this Walmart one, there's the wire comes out here. That's not screen accurate. So what I did was took some plumber's putty and I kind of patched it up. It's not 100%, but it looks better than it did, and from a distance no one's going to be able to tell unless they're right up close. And like I said, again, I went with the SpongeFaceMcGee wheel set. Now you can actually reach out to him on his eBay store, or even message him at gbfans.com. They have a forum. You just have to sign up, register, and you can look him up as Spongeface. Okay? And like I said, I'm going to leave a link in the description for everything below. But this is just the beginning. This is just to show you guys what we're going to do. And I'm going to be taking it step by step, video by video. Okay? And I really can't wait to show you guys at least my method on how I went about it. Now, if you notice, this looks much cleaner than my other one. I mean, you can see how the paint looks, and then look how it looks here. It looks much smoother. Everything's a little bit more cleaner. Now, I don't know what color I'm going to do the rods. I was thinking of green or blue, or we could do red or yellow. Now, if you guys have a suggestion of what you want me to do color-wise, drop it in the comments section below. I really hope you guys like this video, and I really hope you follow us for the next series of videos Now, I'm not going to be doing this all at once. I'm going to be doing maybe a video maybe once a month or once every month or so. I'm not sure how we're going to do it because I also have to do the regular videos, the regular unboxings, or regular videos I like to do. But I'm gonna show you at least the steps I take. Now, I do not purport myself as some kind of professional, guys. I know people who can mod equipment around me in circles way better than I can. I'm just an average guy, and like I like to say, if I can do this, anyone can do this. I did not need to have knowledge of electrical wiring to do this. It helps. Like, I really can't save my life with a solder. I can't solder to save my life. But there are little things you guys can do, and I'm going to take you through that process on how to do it step by step. Now, there are people that know electrical wiring that have hooked up Bluetooth. I've seen people who have turned these, hooked them up onto a 4x, like a little remote control RC four-wheeler. There's a lot of crazy things you guys can do. But I'm going to take a little step by step, show you guys some basic things that you could do. Maybe a few things that you didn't know you could do. And we're going to take it step by step, guys. Who knows? Maybe you guys can teach me a thing or two about these. Okay? But like I said, I'm going to leave the link in the description for the Moby sign labels. Some of the aftermarket pieces, you can get them at GBHQ Depot on Etsy. And also I'm going to leave a link to spongefacemcgee's store on eBay, where you can get all these parts and much more, guys. Now, I'm also this pedal, if you're interested in it, I got it on Amazon, and I'm going to have a link for that in the description below as well, guys. These traps, they work on basic AA batteries. I recommend rechargeable ones because if you happen to leave them on or the battery drains, you just charge them up. You're not spending, $5-6 on a new pair of AA's. But that's not all, guys. Now, I also did a paint mod on a Spirit PKE. Now, this one's been beat up a little bit. You can hear a little rattling in here. I got to get inside and figure out what piece broke inside. But I took the... Now, let me give you a little bit more info. This is the Walmart one. They're identical for the most part. Excuse me. This clip, this belt clip is what comes on it. You can actually unscrew it from the inside. You have to open this up, unscrew here, here, and here, and here, and here. See, we got 6 screws right there, guys. So, you unscrew that, you lift this back piece off, and you're going to unscrew this, and then you're left with this. Now, some people will drill this out or Dremel it, and there's a plug piece that you can get on Etsy, or you can go to Thingiverse and do a search for, I think they call it PKE. I'm not sure what they call it, what the actual name of it is. But you can Dremel out and then put the new piece in, and with a little bit of, I think some plumber's putty, maybe some other stuff to kind of smooth it in. After it hardens, it can look seamless. Now, I wasn't going to do that because my skill level's not there yet. And also, to go a little 80s old school, I actually went and got a label maker. The old style label makers. I actually used that heavily on my Flux Pack for Back to the Future. But also I figured, okay, I'm going to, one, it's marked as PKE meter, which I figured the Ghostbusters might have it labeled that way in case people weren't sure. But I also put my name on here. Okay? I'm covering up my name to protect the innocent. I put my name on it, so if you're out at a party, you're at a Comic-Con, you're out and about, you're at somewhere and someone wants to see something, maybe you're afraid they're gonna, maybe not give it back, or maybe you're confusing yours with someone else's, well, it's got your name on it. So it's a nice little smart thing. Can people peel it off? Yes, it can be peeled off, but I wasn't worrying about that. Now, what I did was, did some dry brushing on here. Okay, here and here and here, pretty much all over the place, to give it, again, a worn look. But then also I hit it up with some spraying of clear. I did a clear coat, so this is, this is not going to wear any more than what it actually is. Okay. So let's turn it on. This is how it looks. Now this label I actually got from a friend of mine who made it for me, but you can get lens decals or even replacement lenses through, there's a couple different sources in the different community groups. I did not make any electrical changes to the inside. A lot of people have done those mods. I have not. Like I said, my electrical experience is not that advanced. So, you see how this looks? We're going to be, again, doing the same thing that we're going to be doing with the trap, we're going to be doing with this. And who knows, maybe we'll take it a step further. So, I figure since this is taking some beating, I've had this for a couple of years, and we have a loose piece dangling around inside, that maybe we'll do a Walmart one, and I'll show you guys my step-by-step process. Now, a lot of times I will use, actually, let me see if I can grab it. Okay, here we go. This is just one of my cans. This is, I usually do the aluminum, or if you can get the silver, that's even better. But I do the aluminum Ultra Cover 2x Paint and Primer by Rust-Oleum. That means when you're painting it, you're also priming it. So it's great if you can do a silver and then do your proper paints over it. I might actually do... Now see, in the original movie, it looks more like a hard, flat, black plastic. So, but we may give it a little bit of a gloss, but the clear coat I did, it actually gave it a bit of a gloss. So you don't have to necessarily paint this. What I initially did was I did some little dry brushing, and you can take a silver Sharpie and get the same kind of effect here that I did, and then clear coat it. And then after you clear coat, you can apply your labels if you want to do labels. It all depends on, because my imagination was, okay, let's see, obviously if we throw the PKE down like in a car on a shelf somewhere, it's going to get scuffs on the underside. And I figured, you know, maybe you know, you're holding it and you bang into something because maybe it's dark, right? That's where I got the ideas for some of these scratches and scuffs. Let me give you guys a nice good look here. You know, figure around the sides of frames. That's pretty much how I envisioned it. Also, around the sides here, right here, you can see right there. That's where I did a lot of the scuffing. I figured, think of stuff that maybe you throw into a tool chest or a drawer of some kind. You know, you figure there's going to be occasional scratches. For the most part, it's not going to get really messed up. Like on the flat pieces, maybe that's kind of protected. And that's it. That was just some of the ideas I did, and this was my first PKE. So maybe we'll take a different approach with this one. Maybe we'll keep this one looking a little newer. We'll just do the clear coat on here. That's an idea. That is something we can do. Now again, you get the, you know, the legal print on there, right? You guys can see that, right? There we go. I don't have that here. I sanded it down. I took sandpaper and I just sanded it, guys. That's all I did. You can hear the rattling now. It's like a baby rattle. That's all I did. Peeled this off. Used the little Goo Gone spray to get... It's a citrus solution that you use to get the adhesive off. And this, I took the battery cover off and I just sanded it. And of course, you know, if you're going to clear coat it like I did, there you go. It covers everything up. Now, I actually did another PKE, and I'll show that in a future video. It was done RGB style, real Ghostbuster style, in that blue. I did that for my wife, because she's a part of the same group that I'm a part of, but she wanted to be a little different, so we made her a real Ghostbusters pack. Well, I did. I shouldn't say we, but I got a lot of direction and help from them, from my teammates. They gave me a little, you know, some input. I wasn't sure which way to go or what colors to use and how to paint it, because that was a big departure from the other stuff that I've done. So I've even made a real Ghostbusters, well, painted a themed real Ghostbusters trap for her as well. I have to replace the red hose like I have on my on for the trigger wire, and I actually kept the pedal the same. I just painted it blue for her. So that is a future project that we're going to be doing, guys. So we're going to be modding a trap. I hope you guys tune in for it. If you do, then we're going to be doing a lot more of that in the future. I may even do a couple live streams of me working on it. Because it's not something you can do in 5 or 20 minutes. It's something that you could work on for hours upon hours upon hours. Now, again, I don't purport myself as being the end-all, be-all expert. I always consider myself a novice in everything. A novice in life, video games, you name it. You're always learning, you're always picking up things. You know, in life, you're never the same person. You're always changing. Okay? You're always changing. Think about when you were 5. Think about when you were 13. Think about when you were 24. Think about yourself when you were 36. You're constantly changing, and that's a good thing. It's always a good thing because you're learning more, you're evolving, you're becoming who you're meant to be. But you always got to remember who you were. Okay, that's the important part in life. You got to remember who you were and who you're becoming so that you're ready for that person you're going to be the next day. That's just a little bit of wisdom right there. I mean, I never consider myself an expert at anything. I'm always ready, willing, and able to learn stuff. I mean, I'm 42 and I just did my first soldering about 2.5 months ago when I was working on the Proton Pack, the full scale pack. That was my first real solder, or first successful soldering, and nobody taught me. I watched a couple YouTube videos, watched them over and over again until I felt confident. I took a chance. I said, let's see if this works. I had a pack of 5 switches and some wires and some potentiometers. I figured, I played around with it, played around. Let me actually move this over. Okay, you guys can see my Proton Pack right there, right? Okay. Now, there's a crank knob, and when I got the pack, you can keep it static, or you can make it so you can crank it, turn it, just for function. Well, I took it a step further. It actually controls my volume on my Proton Pack. So if I'm at a Comic-Con, I can crank my volume up all the way, so when I'm firing my neutrino wand, you guys can hear the blasting from feet away. Or if I'm playing some Ghostbuster music right off the pack, I can do that. Or if I'm in a heavily crowded place, maybe I don't want to disturb other people, I can have my volume turned down. I did that. I also rigged a power switch on the bottom of the pack, all the way at the bottom. So I can turn that on without having to draw my wands. That's another thing I did. So this was very rudimentary, very basic stuff. You don't have to be an expert. But practice never hurts. You get better with time. So there we are, guys. That's what we have on the modification slate, at least for right now. At least during these next few months. I mean, it's like middle of February right now. We still have March, we still have April. Hopefully by April we'll be ready to do some painting. You know, we have March, so I think March we're going to do a video where I do the actual disassembly, show you guys how to disassemble this. Now, I like to sort everything. So certain parts and screws I will put in little Ziploc bags. I'll take some masking tape, some painter's tape, I'll take a little marker, write what it is, and keep it in that bag so I can keep everything organized. That's actually how I built the Proton Pack. So, it's tried and true, it's very basic, it's very simple, but guess what, guys? It works. Okay? I have some very cool unboxings that I'm hoping that will happen next week. I know this past week I did videos every single day. I have a video slated for Monday. A nice little simple unbox. So you guys definitely want to check that out. But we have these props going on. Now, if you're not into Ghostbusters, I do have a project I am hoping to maybe start beginning maybe June or maybe even July. We're going to be working on the next cosplay Proton Pack. At least this is what I have planned currently. It could change. Let me know what you guys think. As you guys can see, my first pack I built was the Flux Pack. It was an amazing success. I mean, personally for me it was. I can't believe how awesome it was when it turned out. And when people still message me every now and again, telling me, you know, or like, because I'm in a lot of groups. I'm in a Back to the Future. I'm in several Back to the Future fan groups on Facebook. I'm in. Oh, by the way, if you guys are going to be modding a trap, I highly recommend joining the Spirit Proton Pack or Spirit Owners group on Facebook. There's a lot of great people in there that can help you if you get stuck in a spot. They helped me tremendously. A lot of those guys helped me get to where I can make these crazy these crazy modifications, and they helped me. Well, that group was still forming when I built this one, but there's a lot of groups out there that will help you guys with your cosplays, with your modifications. You just have you think it's a stupid, silly question. These guys were in the same spot you were. They're going to have the answers, or if they don't have the answers, they're going to help you find those answers, guys. Social media, yeah, there is a lot of negativity going on, but you know what? There's a lot of great people who will help you out tremendously. People who will give you help, even if... Don't be afraid to ask, guys. The only stupid question is the one not asked, okay? There are no stupid questions. There are no stupid people. You just have to ask, guys. That's all you have to do. But like I said, there's a lot of different groups out there who can help you with this stuff. I definitely recommend joining some of them. You know, there may be a few things that I don't know or I'm not aware of that someone in that group can help you with. Maybe you want to take a different approach with your pack. But like I said, or your trap, sorry. But like I said, we're actually going to be doing, at least this is what I have planned, an Ash versus the Evil Dead pack. Now, if you're not familiar with Ash versus the Evil Dead, you may have heard of Evil Dead 2, or Army of Darkness. Think of a guy who goes to a scary cabin. His girlfriend and his friends are all killed by these deadites. Think like zombies with evil thoughts. Think like a demon and a zombie kind of merged into one. That's kind of pretty much a deadite. There's this Book of the Dead, Necronomicon, that unleashes these deadites. And Ash is kind of the lone survivor. It even gets to the point where the evilness is getting into his hand, so lops his hand off, guys. So he's got this stump now, and he rigs up a chainsaw. You guys, once you hear me say chainsaw, you know who I'm talking about. The guy with the chainsaw for a hand. That's Ash Williams. Actually, Ashley J. Williams, played by the magnanimous, the unforgettable Bruce Campbell. Okay, you might know him from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. He's best known for, well, he does cameos in everything. He's just not phenomenal. He was actually in a show called Burn Notice. And, of course, he had his own show, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. He's appeared on Xena, Warrior Princess, Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. I mean, you can think of him as a B actor, but he's like the echelon, the zenith of B actors. I mean, he's just phenomenal. He's a I hope to meet him someday. He's a phenomenal actor. He doesn't take himself serious. He jokes with people. So we're planning to do, I say we because the channel, we're a group, planning to do a proton pack that is going to be scratched up. It's going to have, you know, it's just going to look like it's falling apart. There's cracks. Looks like energy seeping out. It's just going to look like a monstrosity. Okay? We're going to have it so that there's the hose going from the pack to the wands, which is going to be affixed onto the chainsaw. So when you're fighting ghosts or any kind of demons, you got the chainsaw to cut them. You got the proton pack or proton wand, neutrona wand to blast them. I'm also going to figure a way to have the shotgun holstered on the side of the pack, and we're going to figure out some way to do the Necronomicon in some shape or form on the pack. I haven't figured it out yet. When I planned the Flux Pack did not originally look like this. The concept was much, much different. I actually had Mr. Fusion all the way on the top, and I had a flux capacitor where Mr. Fusion is. I had time circuits displayed right on the back of the pack in my original concept. Completely different. So who knows how this is going to evolve. It might evolve into a supernatural pack. It might evolve into something completely different. We don't know yet. You know, I may put a slime blower function on it. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. All I know is I'm planning to do it of a red faded, kind of a red metallic faded, kind of rusted look. I mean, this thing's going to look like it's been through hell and back because, well, it would have to be. Okay? That's what I'm currently planning for sometime this summer. If you guys have some other suggestions, if you think you know, this was just a crazy idea. I joked around with a few of my teammates. Like, hey, that would be pretty cool. But if you guys have an idea, a concept you think would look cool, kind of a mashup between Ghostbusters and something else, please drop it in the comment section below. You can hit me up on Instagram at Dave's Dimension, or better yet, email me at davesdimension78@gmail.com. I'm always ready, willing, and able to do some things. And I say for the summer we're going to be doing that pack because after we do the trap here, we're actually going to be doing some minor repairs and upgrades on the Flux Pack. We're going to touch up a few things, try and improve a few things on the Flux Pack as well. So there we are. So I hope you guys liked this video. I know it was a bit long, but I just want to give you guys kind of a heads up, kind of a preview of what we're going to do, what I've done before, and where I want to take it. So, hope you guys tune in for those videos. But until next time, this is Dave from Dave's Dimension saying keep on busting.